Welcome to Becoming Limitless. This is the podcast for entrepreneurs who want to optimize their brain and their body with biohacking. I'm going to teach you how to eliminate brain fog and upgrade your health so you can have more productivity, energy, and growth in your business. I'm your host, Tanessa Shears. Let's jump in. Welcome back to the Becoming Limitless podcast. We are on episode 20 already. I can't even believe how fast this has gone. We are talking today about one of my favorite topics to talk about. We are chatting all about how to de-stress with a cognitive load detox. Now, there's a really good chance that you probably haven't heard of that yet, but I'm going to explain it all to you and how it is going to make you feel completely refreshed at the end of a crazy busy workday. Now, before we jump in, I have a question for you. Have you left a review for the Becoming Limitless podcast yet? If you could take a moment to do this, that would be absolutely amazing. Leave the review wherever you listen to your podcast, whether that be on Google or whether that be on iTunes. The reason this is so important is it not only gives me feedback on if you're loving the show and if you're learning things, but it also helps reach other entrepreneurs. I mean, just like you, entrepreneurs who want to biohack their health using science and, use holistic things like sleep and nutrition to really get the energy they need to run their business. So you can do this by heading to iTunes, heading to Google Play, and leaving a review. This would mean so much to me, and I'm already going to thank you in advance for taking a moment to do that. So let's jump into talking about de-stressing, about how to perform a cognitive load detox so that your brain is fresh and sharp when you wake up in the morning. So I have been looking for ways to relax and refocus for the longest time, and I thought that the only way to do that was with meditation to help me try and relax because it seemed like everyone was doing it. I mean, the idea of meditation has been around forever, and I liked the idea of it since I first started exercising back in 2008. I mean, I've downloaded all of the apps and I've tried all the different types. I've tried guided meditation and unguided meditation and mantra meditation. I've tried it all. I've even read some really amazing books on meditation, like, for example, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. That book, it really helped me understand from a logical perspective how meditation could work for me. But at the end of the day, I just wasn't getting it and I never could get into it. And I felt a lot of guilt for that because you look at every, successful morning routine of an entrepreneur or the best night ways to wind down at the end of the night. And meditation was on every single one of them. And I'm like, well, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get into this meditation? If all the successful people are doing it, shouldn't I be doing it? Why can't I do it? And I never was able to get into meditation. Now, to come up with a solution for this problem, I had to sit and think about what the point of meditation was. And now the chances are, if you are an experienced meditator listening to this podcast, you might be able to tell me that I'm missing the point entirely or I'm missing some benefit that I don't know about. But from my perspective, here is what I was seeing as the purpose of meditation. I was seeing it as a way to be able to disconnect from out there, everything going on in the world around me and my external environment, and really focus on my breath and being present in the moment now. I saw the purpose of meditation to be able to cultivate our ability to resist discomfort and the temptation to get distracted. Like meditation, in my opinion, teaches us how to allow discomfort and thoughts to come in and float by, but to stay focused on one intention. I found that every time I tried meditating, I noticed my brain always wanted to go to my to-do list and everything I didn't get done and what my clients were doing. And I had a hard time staying focused, but maybe that was the point of meditation, was to learn how to feel distracted and pull myself back to present, to feel that discomfort of focusing on one thing at a time and really work on that practice of focusing on one thing at a time. And the last thing I realized, in my opinion, the purpose of meditation was to reduce stress and anxiety, to reduce the busyness in my head and the noise and everything that was going on in there that was creating this desire to meditate. It was the ability to stop trying to do a billion things in my head and multitask in my head and take out time to just be present with one intention and one thought. So this got me thinking, there has to be another way to feel centered and focused and calm and at ease and present. And it wasn't until I discovered biohacking and the different states of our brain waves and how that affects how we feel in our body and our ability to be present that I recognized there could be another way to tap into that feeling that I was desiring from the idea of meditation. Meditation was only a vehicle, but it wasn't the only way I could get to that same centered feeling. And this is when I developed my theory that I now call cognitive load detox. So I'm excited to share with you today how to biohack your stress. As entrepreneurs, this is pivotal to not only reducing inflammation in our body, but to help us maintain focus on what is important in our life, growing our business, spending time with the people we want to, and enjoying the life that we are creating through the business we are growing. I want to break down cognitive load detox for you so that you're very clear on what it means, so that when I explain how to do it, you're like, that makes sense. So if we look at the word cognitive, it implies something related to the process of thinking or cognition. And the word load implies the number of things that can be carried in something, or, in this case, in our cerebral cortex, which is the part of our brain that controls thinking. If you Google the definition of cognitive load, what comes up is this. It relates to the amount of information that your working memory can hold at one time. That space, that working memory, it has a limited capacity. And as entrepreneurs, we're loaded up to the top with things on our plates, but our brains can only process so many things and still be able to function at peak capacity. Think about what your brain has to keep on its plate and think about during a day. We think about our customers. We think about our schedules, our revenue, our team, our email list, our marketing, our social platforms, our growth, our promotional calendar. It goes on and on. But that's just what's going on in our business. Many of us are moms or dads or partners or kids or friends. The list goes on, and we are bombarded on top of that all day with sounds like ringing phones and email notifications and honking cars. We're staring into computer screens that are flickering blue light at us. We're exposed to electromagnetic frequencies and radio waves and fluorescent lighting and excessive work. We can't shut down. We're on it right till we go to bed, and constant news outlet exposure. Our brain is experiencing a massive sensory overload, specifically for our central nervous system. And our brain has to work so hard to calm itself down and releasing neurotransmitters to counter all of this sensory overload and input that we are having to manage and process all day long. With the amount of plates that we have up in the air, and without having a structured, intentional process to reduce some of our cognitive load, our performance drops. We begin to get easily distracted, we get irritable, we get easily overwhelmed and stressed out, and we need more breaks. And then we start to rely on things like, snacking or chocolate or food or alcohol or shopping as ways to make us feel better and feel happy, when what we really need is a process to complete a cognitive load detox. Now, back in episode 9, I introduced you to the concept of brainwave frequencies and how the frequency of your brainwaves actually determines what state you are in, what you're experiencing. Are you focused? Are you relaxed? How your body and your brain are feeling. So when we are highly focused on productive work, we are in a brainwave frequency called beta. It's approximately 14 to 30 hertz. When your brain is in beta, we are easily able to concentrate. We are highly focused. We're feeling motivation and alertness. Your thinking is clear. This is beta, and this is what we want to be in when we're doing our deep work. Beta is the state that we want our brains to be in when we are concentrated and creating and productive in our business. This is a state that begins to contribute to our cognitive load. Now, there's also an area of our beta brainwave frequencies called high beta. And when we are experiencing too much of that, it actually results in our body feeling anxiety and fear and overwhelm. So we want to make sure that if we are being productive in our business, that we have a way of unwinding so that we can allow ourselves to step back into that productivity when we return to our businesses the next day. But here's one of the biggest misconceptions that I see, especially when it comes to self-care and unwinding. We have been taught to think things like bubble baths and massages are self-care that help us reduce stress and unwind from this overwhelm or the demanding day that we just had in our business. I mean, perhaps you've even spent an entire weekend as like a self-care weekend, a weekend that you took off to restore and just to feel better going back into Monday. But as soon as you were ready to go back on Monday, you felt the exact same as you did on Friday. This is because it is not actually an experience that you're trying to seek, like bubble baths or massages. It's actually a feeling that you're trying to achieve. When I have this discussion with my clients, they tell me that they're looking to feel ease or calm or centered or creative or resilient or peaceful. These are all the feelings that they're looking to get by doing the things like we talked about, like the bubble baths and the massages. But here's the truth. Those feelings are not an activity, but they are a brainwave state called alpha. Now, alpha is a brain frequency of between 8 and about 13.9 hertz. So when your brain is experiencing alpha waves, you're relaxed. Your focus is relaxed. You might even be in a bit of like a light trance or pre-sleep or just those couple moments before you wake up or even a bit of a light meditation. So if you are looking to feel that way, what you want to be doing are activities specifically that allow your brain to be in alpha brain waves and consciously move into that alpha wave frequency on purpose. So the process of getting into this alpha brainwave frequency, I call it cognitive load detox, but I have to give credit to my client, Caddy, because she came up with a much funner name, and she uses this for the intentional time she carves out for herself each weekend. She calls it alpha brainwave time. I just think that is so fun. And the entire focus of this practice is not to meditate. It's not to sit and stare into space until you're calm, but it's to allow your brain to gently slip into that alpha state. Alpha is a way your brain feels. So think of this. When you're watching a fun TV show or a rom-com, nothing that is scary or intense or keeping you on the edge of your seat or something you have to think about. It is something that you can have a soft, loose focus with. And you don't have to be thinking about what's going on. Like a really good example of having to think about what's going on is a movie like Inception. I don't know if you've seen Inception, but they're always in different layers of a dream. It's that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. But for me, I have to think a lot during that movie. So my brain waves are likely in beta because I'm having to think and focus. But when I'm watching a rom-com like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, that is my all-time favorite movie, my brain is light and loosely focused, and I'm getting that relaxation that I seek. The brain is focused on only one thing at a time when you are in alpha. This time allows you to reduce the cognitive load your brain is experiencing. So like I said, it's not so much about the activity you're doing, but how your brain experiences the activity. So let's take reading, for example. If I'm reading a fiction book before bed, I'm loosely focused, I can feel myself getting drowsy and tired, I'm really relaxed, my brain is in alpha. If I'm reading like a light book, like a chick lit or, even just a fun crime drama, something that just keeps me interested but not on the edge of my seat, my brain can get into alpha and relax. Now, I'm going to contrast this with another book I'm reading right now. I'm reading Boundless by Ben Greenfield, and it is a textbook. It is full of science and biohacking and longevity. And when I read this book, my brain goes into beta. So like I said, when I read fiction, my focus is loose. I'm allowing my brain to de-stress. My cortisol levels drop. I'm just focused on reading. I'm in alpha. But when I read Boundless, I have to call on my education from university sometimes and make connections and try to remember things that I learned to help understand what he's saying. And I'm thinking while I'm reading this book, oh my gosh, this is so interesting. How can I apply this to my life? How can I repurpose this as content for my platform? Which clients would benefit from this right now? How can I share this in a way that's applicable? My brain is in beta. It's creativity mode. It's inspired. I can feel a second conversation happening in my brain about what I'm reading. This is why I advise my clients to read fiction before bed. If you're reading nonfiction before bed, there is a very good chance that your brain is going into personal development mode. This, for the most of part of us, is not going to be alpha brainwave inducing. So, like I said, I advise my clients to read fiction before bed. So on most nights, I try to read from about 8 to 9 p.m. on, like I said, most nights. I'll usually spend about 30 minutes reading a nonfiction book, but I will always end with fiction. If I don't have time to do both on some nights because my night routine ran late, I go to fiction as my first choice because my sleep is impacted by the state of my brain and my cortisol levels at the end of the day. So if I only have 30 minutes, I'm going to choose the fiction because I know that my sleep will be so much better if my brain is relaxed, and that is going to set me up for a highly productive day tomorrow. The goal is to bring my body into a parasympathetic state. If you haven't heard that word, it's just a fancy word for rest and digest. It contrasts with your body being in the sympathetic state in which it is in fight or flight. So in order to do a cognitive load detox, I encourage my clients to do and focus on one activity at a time. This is really hard for our brains. Our brains need to be entertained from all angles, multiple things going on, overwhelmed, noises coming in, sounds coming in, things going on. And this is how our brains become so overwhelmed. Now, here is what I mean when I talk about not doing multiple activities at a time. We're not watching TV while you're also on your phone scrolling Instagram and answering text messages. You're not cleaning the kitchen and showering with a podcast on and also thinking about your day and what time you've got to leave in the morning. You're not going for a walk and listening to an audiobook and planning out, what you're going to cook for dinner that night. You're not playing with your kids and your dog and the TV is on in the background. Just one thing at a time. Focus and be there. Your brain is going to want to get distracted. It's going to want to be entertained with all of these different things and stimulus come in. So here are ideas of things you can do that you can practice a single-minded focus in. Go for a walk. Clean your home. Meditate or stretch or do yoga. Sit on the bus or drive your car in silence without the radio on. Take a shower or a bath. Write in your journal, play with your kids, cook dinner. One of my favorites that I love to do at the end of the day is take my makeup off and put on my night cream. It is such a beautiful, quiet transition time at the end of my night where all I'm thinking about is washing my makeup off, exfoliating my skin, putting the serum on, putting the night cream on. It just allows me to be present. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not listening to a podcast. I'm not planning out my day tomorrow. The goal is to take your brain through this process of single-minded focus that I call a cognitive load detox at the end of the day for at least 20 minutes. Now, there is always the option to experiment with soft music. This will work really well for some people and not well for other people. Some people will find it distracting and some people will find it great. I think it also depends on the type of music. So experiment it with it. What you're wanting to watch for is the music pulling focus from whatever you're doing, or is it adding to the experience? So for me, sometimes when I clean my kitchen, I'll put on like piano jazz music, and I find that it gives me that alpha frequency brainwave feeling of ease and calm. And that's what I love. For the clients of mine that have never done alpha brainwave time or a cognitive load detox before, it's hard. It is very hard. Your brain is going to want to be entertained. It's going to be bored. Our brains have lost the ability to be bored and do one thing at a time. I mean, it shows up in your business likely with all the emails and tabs you have open and everything. This is the chance to cultivate that skill. It allows you to take some of those plates off the table of your brain, so to speak, and clear room for productive days tomorrow. So like I said, for the clients of mine that have never done this before and find it challenging, I usually have them subscribe to an app called brain.fm, and I will leave a link to this in the description below. And what I have them do is I have them put on the track called Relax. So Brain FM specifically, it's a neat app. It plays music for you, but artificial intelligence is used to insert, it's called a modulation rate of the music. It basically inserts a let's call it like a frequency into the music that is matching to alpha brainwave frequency, and it invites your brain into that state. Like if this is interesting to you, go back and listen to episode 9. It's all about how I biohack my brainwave state for super focus. So by using this app, it invites their brain into alpha and encourages it so that it doesn't feel like such a struggle if you've never done it before and don't quite know what the feeling you're looking for is. This is a beautiful way to start. So the benefit of doing all of this and why you want to do a cognitive load detox, well, you'll have better sleep. You'll feel so much less stressed out, and less stress equals less inflammation, and less inflammation equals less brain fog. Being able to detox your brain at the end of the day and de-stress, unwind, take your focus back allows you to show up sharp and clear and focused and full of energy at your business so you can get more done in a day than most people can get done in a week. It'll let you scale your business so much faster because of how you are able to show up with your brain at peak capacity every single day. So I hope this episode has been enlightening on how I was able to become okay with the idea that maybe meditation isn't working for me, but the whole point of it is to learn presence. And cognitive load detoxing can really help you understand and achieve that level of presence that takes into account just the fact that meditation doesn't work for everyone. There are other alternatives. And if you have absolutely loved this episode and it's making you feel energized, I highly recommend you check out my Entrepreneur's Playbook. It's called 12 Ways to Biohack Your Energy. It is going to help you have feet on the floor, high energy mornings, and be productive during your day. It's the 12 best biohacks. It covers everything from the Brain FM app I talked about, to how to eat anti-inflammatory foods, to how to use hot cold showers to actually enhance the focus you feel. There are so many great tips in here. I highly recommend you check it out. You can download it for free at tanessashears.com/playbook. I know you're going to love it. Don't forget to check it out. I'll leave the link in the description. So I hope you have a absolutely beautiful week, and I am looking forward to talking to you next time. I would love to hear about how you performed a cognitive load detox this week, and if it helped you get all of the ease and peace and calm that you have been after at the end of a busy week. I will talk to you next week. Bye. Ready to begin each day feeling energized and focused? I'd love to work with you one-on-one. In my Becoming Limitless program, you're going to learn how to optimize your brain and body with science and biohacking so you can be highly productive and grow your business faster. Join me over at tanessashears.com/work with me. I'll see you there.